Okay, it's official. The trilogy, Canelo versus Triple G. It's a done deal, September 17th. Earlier today, I caught up with Mr. Matchroom himself, the guy that is responsible for making this fight happen, Eddie Hearn. Check it out. It looks like the question was answered. People were saying, is Canelo going to fight Bivol again? It looks like it's going to be Triple G, September 17th. Eddie, are we still going to see a Bivol rematch down the line?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was an interesting conversation because, Canelo wants to fight Bivol again, and he obviously wants to fight Triple G as well. But really, thinking about the timings for the Triple G fight, this was the moment. There was only really one time to fight Triple G, and it was in September. The undisputed super middleweight world championship on the line, the big trilogy. This was the moment to do it. We spoke to Bivol and his team. We're working towards the rematch for that fight on Cinco de Mayo next year. Canelo, there's no way he won't take that fight. That's a fight that he's desperate to avenge. But the original plan will remain. Triple G against Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. September 17th, huge fight, the biggest in boxing. And I'm excited, so excited to be a part of it. And it's going to be fun. When we went into the Bivol fight, there was a feeling that Canelo Alvarez was invincible. Right. That he just couldn't be beaten. And as good as the first two Triple G fights were, can Triple G beat Canelo Alvarez? And obviously the defeat just recently makes things, I guess, a little bit more believable for fight fans that Triple G could pull it off. Yeah. Plenty of bad blood between them. It's probably the only mix of people that I've seen these guys talk badly about in any stage of their career. And I'm really looking forward to being part of a huge promotion.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring that up because, some fight fans may think, at least I've seen on the internet, that because of the Bivol fight, the Triple G Canelo fight isn't as big. But, in other words, you're saying it might even be bigger because
I think it is
more
bigger.
Realistic.
The first two fights were two of the greatest fights we've ever seen, firstly. Secondly, the mirage, if you like, of Canelo being this unbeatable fighter doesn't exist. The reality is that, as you know, coming off two losses almost makes your career in the balance. So, we know that Canelo Alvarez went up to 175. It was a big ask, but he was expected to win that fight. Let's not get it mixed. We know how good Bivol is, but Canelo Alvarez was expected to win that fight. He didn't win it. Now he comes back to defend his championships, this time against Triple G. He has to win this fight. If he loses to Triple G on September 17th, where do you go from there? Back-to-back defeats against two different fighters, this time almost with no excuse. The toughest thing for Canelo in this fight is to bounce back from that defeat. He was devastated to lose to Bivol. We sat down with Dimitri Bivol and his team. We said, look, the plan is you're going to defend your world championships around the same time in September, and then you're going to rematch Canelo Alvarez in May. So that's the plan. And working towards, as I said, Canelo Alvarez's next two fights being Triple G and Dimitri Bivol. The run is inside. The run continues, of just the most incredible legacy.
Hey, I mean, you're obviously involved in Bivol's career. I know he wants to unify 175. We have Smith and Beterbiev fighting soon. Is there a possibility that he might go on and try to do that in the meantime?
Possibly. I mean, look, again, he's going to be fighting around that same time, September, October, whenever that may be. So we know that Beterbiev and Joe Smith are fighting in June. So Dimitri Bivol could even look at the undisputed fight later in the year with us. And obviously Joshua Buatsi just won at the weekend. That's a fight we'd be very interested to make as well. You've got Callum Smith there, another one of our fighters that we represent. So we've got plenty of options for him in terms of voluntary defenses. He wants to become undisputed, but at the same time, he wants the rematch, because that rematch is going to make him a hell of a lot of money. And, again, that's one of the biggest fights in boxing. So we'll sit down with World of Boxing and Vadim and plan out the future for Dimitri Bivol, but he's in a great position.
I'm excited for the Triple G fight. I do agree with you. I think this makes that fight even more interesting, the Bivol defeat with Canelo. And I guess Canelo still goes in as a favorite with Triple G, but maybe not so much the way it would have been if he had beaten Bivol.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's still the favourite. I mean, look, Gennady Golovkin sometimes gets a little bit of criticism from the Murata fight, but the guy hadn't boxed for over 400 days. Went out there, he sometimes starts slow and then just went into overdrive and brutalised the guy, on away soil. And I think the move to 168 is going to really help Gennady Golovkin. Don't forget he's been at 160 for 9-10 years of his career. I thought that he looked a little bit weight drained out there in Japan, and I think 168 is going to help him. And look, Canelo Alvarez it's not like he's a huge 168, so I think that's going to help him in this fight because I think it'll be a brutal fight. I really do. This fight won't go 12 rounds, in my opinion. I think Canelo Alvarez, with the spite that he's going to have coming off the defeat, with the dislike he has for Gennady Golovkin and vice versa, I think these guys are going to go at it from the first bell, and I don't believe we'll hear the final bell this time.
I agree with you. I think it's still the biggest fight in boxing. Hey, Barack, I'm sorry you weren't there. You weren't invited to this exclusive interview. They wanted to leave you out for some reason. Well, I don't know where you were.
No,
but
I only do real celebrities.
Right, I figured that. But check it out. This fight is really happening. It's going down. So no Bivol rematch. They're talking about maybe possibly making that fight happen in Cinco de Mayo of 2023. But right now in September, we're going to get what we were waiting for. Remember in Vegas, Barack, we were saying, wow, Canelo didn't get the win here. Are we still going to see the Triple G fight? Does it make sense for him to go straight to the rematch and yada, yada, yada? And we got what we wanted, or what we was expecting at least. I like the fight, and I like the fact that maybe Canelo shows some vulnerability because leading up before the Bivol fight, he was a heavy favorite. I mean, people felt that he was going to wipe the floor with Triple G. I don't know why, as competitive as those first two fights were, but now it's just realistic that this fight is up in the air. Triple G won his last fight impressively. I think this fight is even bigger now with the Bivol loss, bro.
Styles make fights, so I'm not going to get caught up in that. I think regardless of the fact whether Triple G is 40 or whether Canelo just lost to Bivol, Triple G has always been a tough fight for Canelo.
Yes, sir.
That's just it. He's a really, really smart fighter. That's it. And he hits hella hard. And that's it. Now, I think that this was a smart move because he could have lost the fight with Triple G. You never know what could have happened in the months coming. By next year, May, you never know what could have happened with Triple G. Plus, he's already 40 years old. You're not going to get the credit if you beat him now anyway. You're definitely not going to get the credit when he's 41 because his birthday is in April. So it just makes sense to do this fight. Now, also, you can probably get another rematch with Bivol. And even if Bivol loses to anybody else, it's still a rematch with the guy that beat you. Right. And that makes sense. And at 175 pounds, and you'll be able to prove yourself. But when it comes to Triple G, that's been a long rivalry that he's been wanting to accomplish. So I think it makes sense for him to do that now so nobody else comes in between, nothing else happens, and he doesn't get a year older for people to complain about.
Yeah, I think at this point, Canelo isn't fighting for credit or to get credit from the fans. I mean, he's accomplished so much.
No, but
he's fighting.
That plays a part.
I get what you're saying.
That plays a part. You don't do this just for yourself. In order to have a legacy, the people have to also agree with it.
Well, he's actually
when people said something about him going fighting Rocky Fielding, you know what he did? He went out and fought everybody else in 168.
No doubt. But what he's clearly on record said that he's doing this for the fans, for those folks that are wanting to fight. Not for the critics that want to dissect the age of Triple G or all the other little bells and whistles that people talk about when it comes to matchups. Like, the fact is, he said, I'm doing this because this is what the fans want, at least those that want it, that enjoyed the first two fights. So he's going to get credit from those fans.
Because the fans are saying that you lost the first fight, and some fans are even saying he lost the second fight. I don't agree with that, but that's the reason why he's doing it. He wants to put a definitive answer at the end of this trilogy and say, you know what? I'm the head dog here. I have to win in an impressive fashion. So it just makes sense. So I'm just trying to tell you that what the people say matters to fighters.
Yeah, it does to some degree. And the fact that he's getting paid a nice purse for it, that doesn't hurt. And he's going back to 168 at the weight class that he feels most comfortable in. At least that's what his trainer and some of his team members have said. So maybe we're going to get the best version of Canelo Alvarez. And Triple G, in my opinion, looked really good against Murata, and he's going to get the opportunity to be more comfortable in moving up in weight for the first time. I don't think that's going to hurt a guy that has been at that weight class his entire career. I think he's going to be more comfortable on fight week, being able to eat a little bit more and not having to make weight as he has had to for his entire career. So I think we're going to get a great version of Triple G. I love this fight. I love the fact that it's happening in September. I'm excited to be in Vegas for the trilogy.
Very few fights can be called super fights. This is one of them. Both men are firing what they've got.
This is a draw. There has to be a rematch. And new WBC. There's a score to settle.
There's real bad blood here.
Everybody wants to fight, right? He took a lot of shit.
I don't want talking with him. I want to fight.